If you saw my recent Morrison's video, you saw that I got 3 cauliflowers that weren't in the best of condition. We've revived them, we've brought them back to life, they're looking a lot better. We're now going to make some cauliflower cheese and a few other little bits for tea tonight. Got my pan, I boiled some water in the kettle, it's just ready to go back up to the boil in here. Now I have got my cauliflower in 2 sections. I've got my florets and I've got the stems. Now I'm going to use the stems because these are going to form part of the sauce that I'm going to make. So I don't want to waste those. So they're going to go in the pan all together and I will sort out the separate sections when I'm ready to make my sauce. Now I'm going to put the cauliflower in. Now you cook it for as long as you like. I like my cauliflower quite tender, especially when I'm making it for cauliflower cheese because I want something really comforting and soft and delicious. But if you prefer yours a little bit harder, you cook it a little bit less. So, have I put a little bit too much water in here or am I going to be fine? No, I think I'm going to be good. So, that in, lid on, bring it back to the boil and cook it till it's tender. This cauliflower is lovely and super and uber tender, looking really nice. I'm just going to transfer it from here into a bowl that I have got over here with a colander in, just so I can drain it off. I'm going to keep the water though, because we are a little bit water shortage around here, so any water is saved water. And I'm just going to keep that separate. Take it out of there, and to be honest I'm going to let it cool down and then it's going to go on my plants. I'm sure it won't do them any harm at all. So we have got that nicely drained. I am going to sort out now, let me put this here so you can see what I am doing. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sort out the cauliflower that I am keeping for the florets and the cauliflower that I am going to use to make my sauce. Now what I'm going to do is I am just going to carefully pick out the florets and pop them back in the pan and just hunt down those pieces of ends. So here we go. So see, these are some of the ends that we had from the root system that we're going to use as part of our sauce so that we are not wasting any of the cauliflower. I mean, if you wanted to, you could, you know, pop that in your stock pot, but for this recipe we are going to use it. Okay, that's it. I think I'm just going to up a couple more pieces. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra cauliflower because I want to add a little bit of extra for the sauce, but most of it will be being those stems. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add to this some other ingredients, which I'm just going to go and get from the fridge. So to this, I'm going to be adding, first of all, some milk. I'm using my soy milk because that's what I like. Use quite a bit. Then I like my cheese sauce to have a little bit of a kick, so I'm going in with a bit of Dijon. I also like whole grain, but I'm going to put that in a little bit because I still want the bursts. I'm going to go in with nutritional yeast. This is where I get my B12 from. However, if you're making this yourself and you are not vegetarian or cutting back on dairy and all those kinds of things, just start with the cauliflower, go in with your choice of milk, and then just throw in a load of cheese. So this is my Violife one that I like. So I'm going in with that. And then put the lid on. And we are going to blend this like a mad thing. I'll be back. Okay, blended. And there you can see a thick sauce ready for our cauliflower cheese. So, next step. Cauliflower cheese is going to go into, sorry for the noise, a dish. ready for the oven. So let's just start spreading this. Now I've made too much of this because I needed to use up all of that cauliflower. So whatever is left is just going to go into a Tupperware, get coated with the cheese sauce, and then saved for whenever we need it. Just going to chuck it in the freezer. So let's see. So I've just got a separate container. I'm going to pop it in. See how much we've got left. Okay. There we go. Oh, a little bit. Right, that's that done. Next thing to do is test and taste the sauce. That is really good. Nutritional yeast is just such a good way of adding a cheesy flavour to something. Delish. So, let's get pouring. Oh, not even. Good job I remembered. Let's get some of this whole grain in. Just about a heaping spoonful of the whole grain. Now we need to get another spoon to mix it. There we go. Next taste. Oh yeah. Pops of flavour. Really nice. What I try to do now is, so then it goes between all the florets. I don't want a dry cheesy sauce or cauliflower cheese. Right, the rest is all going in there. I will use my spatula to scrape it all down. Then when this is ready to go in the oven, I'm just going to throw a little bit more grated cheese on top. And then I'm going to make the rest of our tea. To go with the cauliflower cheese, we're going to have mushroom Wellington that I bought a week or so ago. And to go with that, we're going to have some potatoes. These are our homemade grown potatoes from the garden. And we're going to have Hasselback potatoes, or as we call them in our house, David Hasselhoff potatoes, because we're slightly strange. It's like if we have Dauphinoise potatoes, we call them dolphin nose potatoes. Just, it's just being a bit silly. But the best way to do these, I've found, is because you want to make little slits, is to find two things that are a similar thickness, put them either side of your potato and go along and literally, there you go. Dead easy, and you don't have to worry about your accuracy of cutting too far into the potato. All you got to do is worry about the gaps between. So you don't want them too far apart, but you don't want them too close together either. So I'm going to carry on chopping these and get the oven on. In fact, I've got the big oven on because all these things are going to go in the oven and I can't fit them in the air fryer and different things like that. Yep, big oven is on. First time in quite a while. I think the last time we had it on, we had pizza. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Got the Wellington and the cauliflower cheese on the first tray. This is massive. Well, I kind of thought it'd be this big, but because obviously the package is that big, but I didn't realise it was this deep, and it looks really, really good. It's meant to take 35 to 40 minutes in the oven, so putting everything in roughly at the same time, because I can always take this out and put it in the top oven to keep warm. Second tray is going to be our Hasselhoff potatoes. Get those on. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on top of those. This is why I love squeezy bottles, because you can be a little bit more accurate with where you put in your oil, so you don't end up using as much. Because oil is quite a valuable commodity at the moment, isn't it? Right, let's go on with some herbs. I think we're just going to go on with mixed herbs. And Oven's on, 180. Fan, so that's 200 normal. Probably like gas mark 4.5. And I think around about 370 if you are on F. So I'm going to pop everything in the oven. Yay, everything's out of the oven. I'm so hungry. These potatoes have opened up beautifully. They look so tasty with the crunchy outside and the soft potato inside. The cauliflower cheese with the extra cheese on top. Yum. This looks really, really cool. It's puffed open slightly. I'm looking forward to trying that. So let's plate up. Potatoes on, this on, cut really easily. And let's have some of this lovely, ooey, gooey cauliflower cheese. Absolutely yum. Let's give it a taste. Knife and fork is needed. Okay, let's have a nice cheesy bit. We know the sauce tasted good when we had it before. When we tasted it, it's going to be scorchio. Now that's lovely. Let me tell you what the difference is between doing it this way and doing it with a bechamel sauce. Is it's lighter. That sauce has got the creaminess, the richness from the cheese, but it's not heavy and dense like you'd get from a traditional bechamel sauce. And you're using up all that extra cauliflower, so adds more to your 5 a day. Really good. Have a sneaky dolphin nose. Nope, David Hasselhoff. Lovely and crunchy. But let's give this a go, because that looks really nice. And if you know me, you know I love mushrooms. Really, really nice. Really meaty, really tasty. I bet that filling goes so well with that. Okay, well, I'm really, really hungry now, and I'm going to go and eat this because it's really, really delicious. And I'll finish up with you in a bit. It is the next day after recording our cauliflower cheese. The reason for that is after eating all that food, we were watching something on television and I fell asleep. And I really, by the time I woke up, I was like, I'm not recording a video. But anyway, cauliflower cheese is great as always. I absolutely love that. But what has piqued my interest is that Wellington. Now I looked at the ingredients and it's a mixture of mushrooms and soy mince, like soy protein. And obviously the puff pastry is quite easy to replicate. In fact, you can just buy sheets of puff pastry from the shops that are dairy free for us and are really easy to use, because puff pastry is a pain to make and takes ages. The only time I make that is if I'm really, really in the mood for a full baking session. So I'm thinking I'm going to have a go at making that Wellington at some point. Have you ever made a Wellington similar to that? Now, years ago I had made a proper beef Wellington. I have made salmon Wellingtons in the past, before we were vegetarian obviously. I have made beetroot Wellington, in fact using a whole beetroot inside a Wellington, but I've never made it where the insides are more processed in terms of it's not a solid lump of meat, fish or vegetable. This is much more like a mince down version. So I'm thinking it shouldn't be too hard to make. It's just a case of getting the flavours right. So let's have a think about that. I might have to root on Pinterest and see if there are any recipes on there, because obviously I want to think about how I'm going to bind that mince and mushroom flavour together. Thank you for watching. Please do the liking and subscribing. Hit me up with lots of comments. I love your comments and reply to as many as I can. And I will see you next time.